Hey everybody, Father Warner here. I'm recording for Tuesday within the octave of Easter. As I've often said, Easter is not just a day, it's the Eastertide, and it's going to go on for 7 weeks of celebration, ending with the feast of Pentecost. Pentecost itself was a Jewish celebration. The Jews who came for the Passover simply stayed on because 50 days later you had Pentecost, which was an agrarian feast. It was the feast, a harvest feast, and that is the reason why even in yesterday's first reading you heard the text taken from Acts of the Apostles chapter 2, where Peter is addressing the crowds. They have come from all over. The text of today, as I said, this entire week the texts are taken from the Gospels, at least are taken from either Matthew, Mark, Luke or John. Yesterday was Matthew. Today we hear the continuation of the resurrection narrative in the Gospel of John. And in the Gospel of John, the resurrection of Jesus takes place in chapter 20. What are we told so far? We are told that Mary of Magdala, while it was still dark. That's a very important word in the Gospel of John, because John plays on the themes of darkness and light. Remember, Judas walks into the dark and Jesus says, I am the light of the world. So you'll constantly see this play of darkness and light. And while it is still shadowy, while it is still dark, we are told Mary of Magdala has come to the tomb. And the reason why she's come to the tomb is with spices. We see this in the text, because they have still not yet believed. And she sees the stone rolled away. She runs back, tells Simon and the beloved disciple. They come there. We are told that the beloved disciple hangs on at the entrance of the tomb. He doesn't go in. Simon goes in. We are not told of Simon's reaction. We are simply told he sees everything there. He sees the cloths lying. And then the beloved disciple goes in, and it ends with these words that he saw and believed. But immediately we are told they did not understand the scripture that he must rise from the dead. So we are not really clear what he believed in. And that is why, and that is where also our text of today comes in. John chapter 20, we are looking at 11 to 18, because it is a woman to whom the Lord appears in the Gospel of John. It is to Mary Magdalene. She is there weeping. Why again weeping? Because, as we heard in the Gospel of Matthew, they are seeking Jesus who is crucified. They are not seeking Jesus who has risen from the dead. And we are told she saw 2 angels in white, and they ask her, Woman, why are you weeping? And she says, well, if you've taken my Lord, tell me where he is. And at that moment, Jesus appears to her. She doesn't recognize him. Why does she not recognize him? Because this is the resurrected Jesus. You know, there are many arguments. One says, well, it was dark, she couldn't see. But more than anything else, our resurrected bodies are not going to be this same body. She did not recognize him for very obvious reasons. This was the resurrected Lord. And she thinks he's a gardener. Supposing him to be the gardener, she says, Sir, if you tell me where you have carried him, I will take him away. This is a gutsy woman. I mean, the women in the Bible are really gutsy women. I'm going to go there. I will face it. Don't worry. And this tells you of her inner strength. She was a tremendously strong woman. But there are 2 lines that I want to focus on. And the first is, Jesus said to her in verse 16, Mary. And she turned round and she said, Rabboni. She said to him in Hebrew, Rabboni, which means teacher. She recognized his voice. She may have not recognized his resurrected body. But our voices don't change, huh? Why? Because Jesus himself in John chapter 10, verse 27 said, My sheep recognize my voice. And Mary recognized his voice. She calls him teacher, Rabboni. But she will go to the disciples, and when she meets them, she says, I have seen the Lord. She recognizes he is both teacher and he is Messiah. She says, I have seen the Lord. Now, Did the apostles accept it? Oh no, I think they mocked her. They thought she was seeing a vision. In fact, one of the translations is, these were like childish tales. That's how they saw the resurrection. So key to this text is being able to hear the voice of Jesus. I want to share with you very briefly, many years ago, I think there have been two periods in my life where I distinctly heard the voice of Jesus, and both of them had to do with Bell's palsy. I've shared them with you. Ironically, I am heading off to the Holy Land where I had the second major case of Bell's palsy on the right side. And I was so upset with Jesus. And I said, how can you do this to me? I remember being in Capernaum where the Blessed Sacrament was in the tabernacle. It was one of the few places where the Blessed Sacrament was in the tabernacle. And I said to Jesus, I said, how could you do this to me? You have to make me well. By the time I get back to Mumbai, I should be well. I should be able to testify like Mary Magdalene testified. And I touched my cheek to the floor, hoping for a miracle. Nothing happened, but I heard his voice, and he said, this is the permanent sign of my love for you. I have kissed you on the cheek. Now, belief with all of us, like with the apostles, takes its time. I think a year or a year and a half later, we were ready with the church at St. Jude's, and I wanted to have some kind of memorial set up. So we asked all our parishioners to have their photographs clicked after Mass, and together, through a digitalization on the computer, we made the face of Jesus. Guess where I was? I was on the right cheek of the face of Jesus. His words are true. He speaks to us. Listen to the voice of the Master. But to do that, you have to be at the feet of the Master. Bye for now. I leave on Wednesday morning, so I'm going to try to record on Tuesday evening so that you don't miss the daily teaching. Pray for me, and I will try my best to record, and also the challenge is internet, so to put it out on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't done it. Leave your comments and like this video. Bye.